from this pen, my soul an open wound. No ears to hear my pain, I soon will be consumed. Oh, soon will be consumed.
¿Qué pues, pinche gringo mamón? Si tengo mi green card.
Thanks for your collaboration. And remember, don't come back again.
Y el gringo nos quiere cobrar el muro. Dile que no, pinche gringo racista. Pues no te pagaremos nada.
Wait a minute, please.
Somos gente honrada y...
Yeah, so Trump is busy. He is doing things. Action is happening. More action than we've seen in a lot of years, man. It's so much has happened over the last week. Guys, promises kept, right? Promises being fulfilled daily. And it's funny to me, people keep trying things and trying to poke the bear like they're going to somehow get a one-up on this dude. I think people are finding out very, very quickly that's a bad idea, man. He is not messing around. He came here not to play games this time around. He came here to change some things. And things are changing. Lots of things. What kinds of things? Well, for one, no more KJP in the White House, man. No more White House press corps of lies. No, the very first one, I think it was the first one today with Caroline Levitt. She's in her new role now, and holy moly, guys, she's doing a fantastic job. We're going to jump right into that right now. Forgive my voice, man. I'm sinus infection stuff going around. You guys get it. But either way, we're going to go ahead and jump right in and listen to how this White House briefing went with our new press secretary. Let's check it out.
Everybody, how are we? Good to see all of you. It's an honor to be here with all of you. A lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of new faces. And President Trump is back, and the golden age of America has most definitely begun. The Senate has already confirmed 5 of President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees: Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. It is imperative that the Senate continues to confirm the remainder of the president's well-qualified nominees as quickly as possible. As you have seen during the past week, President Trump is hard at work fulfilling the promises that he made to the American people on the campaign trail. Since taking the oath of office, President Trump has taken more than 300 executive actions, secured nearly $1 trillion in U.S. investments, deported illegal alien rapists, gang members, and suspected terrorists from our homeland, and restored common sense to the federal government. I want to take a moment to go through some of these extraordinary actions. On day 1, President Trump declared a national emergency at our southern border to end the 4-year-long invasion of illegal aliens under the previous administration. Additionally, President Trump signed an executive order to end catch and release and finish construction of his effective border wall. By using every lever of his federal power, President Trump has sent a loud and clear message to the entire world. America will no longer tolerate illegal immigration. And this president expects that every nation on this planet will cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens. As proven by this weekend, when President Trump swiftly directed his team to issue harsh and effective sanctions and tariffs on the Colombian government, Upon hearing they were denied a U.S. military aircraft full of their own citizens who were deported by this administration. Within hours, the Colombian government agreed to all of President Trump's demands, proving America is once again respected on the world stage.
They don't have to like it, but they do have to cooperate. You see, that's just it. We didn't ask for all your citizens. We didn't ask for all your criminals. We didn't ask for all that. So they're going home. One way or another, they're going home. That's it. This should be a celebration moment for these. But you're going home. It's a celebration for us here in America because we no longer have to pay all of our tax dollars, not to fix our streets, not to fix our bridges, not to fix infrastructure, not to do good for American citizens. No. Just to give handouts to people that want a vacation. And for a lot of them, that's what this is. That's what this was. Look, you can see right now, if you look at some of the border pictures, a lot of these people are leaving on their own. They're headed home. The vacation's ended. The money's come to an end. We got to tour America. They're going to go home and celebrate with their families and show them all the wonderful adventures they had while they were in America. Nah, man, this got to stop. People that are mad about this, we all seen Selena Gomez crying us a river. She very quickly pulled that video offline, though, didn't she, guys? Don't worry. She ain't getting away with it. Once it's on the internet, it's kind of there forever. So, we'll show you that sob fest here in a little bit. But for now, let's get back to these accomplishments, man. That she's just going to go down the list here for the next several minutes and just talk about all the amazing things that are happening and how America is literally becoming great again day after day after day. As every hour passes, more greatness returns to this great nation. Guys, it is an exciting time.
So, to foreign nationals who are thinking about trying to illegally enter the United States, think again. Under this president, you will be detained and you will be deported. Every day, Americans are safer because of the violent criminals that President Trump's administration is removing from our communities. On January 23rd, ICE New York arrested a Turkish national for entry without inspection who is a known or suspected terrorist. On January 23rd, ICE San Francisco arrested a citizen of Mexico unlawfully present in the United States who has been convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child aged 14 years or younger. ICE St. Paul has arrested a citizen of Honduras who was convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor. ICE Buffalo arrested a citizen of Ecuador who has been convicted of rape. ICE Boston arrested a citizen of the Dominican Republic who has a criminal conviction for second-degree murder. This criminal was convicted of murder for beating his pregnant wife to death in front of her 5-year-old son. And ICE St. Paul also arrested a citizen of Mexico who was convicted of possessing pornographic material of a minor on a work computer. These are the heinous individuals that this administration is removing from American communities every single day, and to the brave state and local law enforcement officers, CBP, and ICE agents who are helping in the facilitation of this deportation operation, President Trump has your back, and he is grateful for your hard work.
Man, I just want to stop and say, she is knocking it out of the park, guys. It's just such a breath of fresh air to have someone just up here, just telling the facts, telling what's going on, telling the truth. Man, this is what we've needed for so long. We've been lied to from this little office right here, from that podium for 4 long years. 4 years of these people just outright lying to our faces and refusing to answer our questions. And not anymore, man. Not anymore. Not anymore. We're getting daily, every single day, Trump, since he's been president and before, every single day, he is doing press conferences. He is talking to the people. He's speaking to America every day. Guys, we went months without even knowing where Joe Biden was. What? Now we get to hear from our president every day.
On the economic front, President Trump took immediate action to lower costs for families who are suffering from 4 long years of the Biden administration's destructive and inflationary policies. President Trump ordered the heads of all executive departments and agencies to help deliver emergency price relief to the American people, untangle our economy from Biden's regulatory constraints, and end the reckless war on American energy. President Trump also signed sweeping executive orders to end the weaponization of government and restore common sense to the federal bureaucracy. He directed all federal agencies to terminate illegal diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to help return America to a merit-based society.
Oh, yeah.
President Trump also signed an executive order declaring it is now the policy of the federal government that there are only two sexes, male and female. Sanity
like the Bible
has been
said,
restored.
huh? Man.
Before I take your questions, I would like to point out to all of you once again have access to the most transparent and accessible president in American history. There has never been a president who communicates with the American people and the American press corps as openly and authentically as the 45th and now 47th president of the United States. This past week, President Trump has held multiple news conferences, gaggled on Air Force One multiple times, and sat down for a two-part interview on Fox News, which aired last week. As Politico summed it up best, Trump is everywhere again. And that's because President Trump has a great story to tell about the legendary American revival that is well underway. And in keeping with this revolutionary media approach that President Trump deployed during the campaign, the Trump White House will speak to all media outlets and personalities, not just the legacy media who are seated in this room. Because according to recent polling from Gallup, Americans' trust in mass media has fallen to a record low. Millions of Americans, especially young people, have turned from traditional television outlets and newspapers to consume their news from podcasts, blogs, social media, and other independent outlets.
And we thank you for it.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. To do this, I am excited to announce the following changes will be made to this historic James S. Brady briefing room, where Mr. Brady's legacy will endure. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. And you can apply now on our new website, whitehouse.gov/new media.
Well, guys, we are happy to inform you that the Southern Drawl Podcast has done exactly that. We're one of the first people to jump on that little website she just named and apply for press credentials. Guys, we probably won't get them, but if we did, if somehow the Southern Drawl Podcast ends up with White House press passes, tell me in the comments, would you love to see a Southern Drawl Podcast episode live from the White House? Would you love to see that? I think it would be so cool. They're gonna look at me all kinds of funny if I walk up in that place, I think, but I'd probably be detained. Hopefully not. But we did do it, guys. I got a confirmation on from in my email and everything. So we did. We applied for these press passes. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll get them. If we do, I think it'll be neat, guys. I'll be asking some hard questions. I'm gonna ask these softball questions. That's for sure. We want to know. We want to know some answers, don't we? Well, hopefully we get them. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted. Let me know in the comments, though. Should we do a live episode from the White House? That would be fun.
Starting today, this seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex. So in light of these announcements, our first questions for today's briefing will go to these new media members whose outlets, despite being some of the most viewed news websites in the country, have not been given seats in this room. And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office. From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news. And with that, I will turn it over to questions. And we will begin with our new media members, Mike Allen from Axios, Matt Boyle from Breitbart. Mike, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you very much. Caroline, does the president see anything fishy about DeepSeek, either its origins or its cost? And could China's ability to make these models quicker, cheaper, affect our thinking about expanding generation data centers, chip manufacturing?
Sure. The president was asked about DeepSeek last night on Air Force One when he gaggled for, I think, the third or fourth time throughout the weekend with members of the traveling press corps. The president said that he believes that this is a wake-up call to the American AI industry. The last administration sat on their hands and allowed China to rapidly develop this AI program. And so President Trump believes in restoring American AI dominance. And that's why he took very strong executive action this past week to sign executive orders to roll back some of the onerous regulations on the AI industry. And President Trump has also proudly appointed the first AI and crypto czar at this White House, David Sachs, whom I spoke with yesterday, very knowledgeable on this subject, and his team is here working every single day to ensure American AI dominance. As for the national security implications, I spoke with NSC this morning. They are looking into what those may be, and when I have an update, I will share it with you, Mike.
Carolyn, you say restore U.S. dominance. Is there a fear that the U.S. either is fallen or has fallen behind? And how would the president make sure the U.S. stays ahead?
No, the president is confident that we will restore American dominance in AI.
Yeah, so Caroline, first of all, thank you to you and President Trump for actually giving voices to new media outlets that represent millions and millions of Americans. The thing I would add, I've got a two-part question for you. The first is just can you expand upon what steps the White House is going to take to bring more voices, not less, which is what our founder, Andrew Breitbart, believed in, into this room where they rightfully belong?
Yeah. Absolutely. And as I said in my opening statement, Matt, it is a priority of this White House to honor the First Amendment. And it is a fact that Americans are consuming their news media from various different platforms, especially young people. And as the youngest press secretary in history, thanks to President Trump, I take great pride in opening up this room to new media voices to share the president's message with as many Americans as possible. In doing so, number one, we will ensure that outlets like yours, Axios and Breitbart, which are widely respected and viewed outlets, have an actual seat in this room every day. We also, again, encourage anybody in this country, whether you are a TikTok content creator, a blogger, a podcaster, if you are producing legitimate news content, no matter the medium, you will be allowed to apply for press credentials to this White House. And as I said earlier, our new media website is whitehouse.gov/new media. And so we encourage people to apply. Again, as long as you are creating news-related content of the day and you're a legitimate independent journalist, you're welcome to cover this White House.
And secondly, Caroline, you said you laid out several of the actions that President Trump has taken. Obviously, it's a stark contrast to the previous administration and breakneck speed from President Trump. Can we expect that pace to continue as the first 100 days moves along here and beyond that?
Absolutely. There's no doubt President Trump has always been the hardest working man in politics. I think that's been proven over the past week. This president has again signed more than 300 executive orders. He's taken historic action. I gaggled aboard Air Force One to mark the first 100 days of this administration, 4 p.m. last Friday, our first 100 hours rather. And this president did more in the first 100 hours than the previous president did in the first 100 days. So President Trump, I think you can all expect for him to continue to work at this breakneck speed, so I hope you're all ready to work very hard. I know that we are. Zeke Miller.
Thanks, Caroline. A question that we've asked your predecessors of both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly...
Part of the problem, though, is even if they speak truth from there, these corrupt mainstream news media people are just going to take it out and bend it into whatever story they want to write and whatever narrative they want to put out there, and they're gonna lie to the American people just like they've always done. Does anybody believe anything that comes out of the mainstream media's mouth anymore? If you do, man, some inner reflection. I mean, do a little digging. You will find that there is no trust to be had there. None. I mean, it's almost laughable that these people pretend like anything they're doing is honest journalism. It's absolutely not. Now, I'm no journalist, but I don't also claim to be one. So, if you're going to claim to be a journalist, maybe just report the truth. I don't know. Seems like it would be a step in the right direction.
Popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up truth, Zeke, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
And Caroline, just on a substantive question, yesterday the White House Office of Management and Budget directed across the board freeze some exceptions for individual assistance, we understand, to federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country among Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some confusion, give some certainty to folks, and also is that uncertainty, how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration...
So right there, guys, you can go ahead and clear up all the BS from the hate spaces out there that are basically just saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Trump just took away all of our money, all of our welfare, all of our SNAP benefits, all of this and that, man. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You spread that lie if you want, but it just shows your Trump derangement syndrome is getting the better of you. Do a little research, guys. Just read into it just a little bit. You'll find that a lot of the stuff being said out there is complete nonsense.
If you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being a good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
Thanks, Caroline.
Sure.
How long is this pause going to last, and how is the Trump administration recommending that organizations that rely on federal funding make payroll, pay their rent in the meantime?
It is a temporary pause, and the Office of Management and Budget is reviewing the federal funding that has been going out the door. Again, not for individual assistance, but for all of these other programs that I mentioned. I also spoke with the incoming director of OMB this morning, and he told me to tell all of you that the line to his office is open for other federal government agencies across the board, and if they feel that programs are necessary and in line with the president's agenda, then the Office of Management and Budget will review those policies. I think this is a very responsible measure. Again, the past 4 years, we've seen the Biden administration spend money like drunken sailors. It's a big reason we've had an inflation crisis in this country, and it's incumbent upon this administration to make sure, again, that every penny is being accounted for honestly.
Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, DOJ and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOJ and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on.
You have got to be kidding me. Did she just say what I think she just said, guys? Because I think that she just said $50 million of our taxpayer money was about to go out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. Condoms in Gaza. 50 million of our dollars. Yeah. Anybody has a problem with these executive orders and these pauses and things that President Trump is doing, I just don't know how you call yourself an American. Because when you've got things like this happening and you just want them to continue, that is absolutely working against the American people. Almost, I mean, I don't know how you could be any more against the good of the American people than to frivolously blow or just burn. Well, you know, why not just burn it, man? Burn it. Condoms for Gaza? Guys, I don't know. Tell me in the comments, do you think should we be giving $50 million to any country to fund their sexual? Oh, come on, guys. That one hurts my heart a little bit to hear that we were actually fixing to send $50 million for condoms in Gaza.
Good stewards of tax dollars.
Does it affect Meals on Wheels or Head Start or disaster aid?
Again, it does not affect individual assistance that's going to Americans.
To follow up on Nancy, do you think there will be a list of who is affected and how much money is affected? How will these contractors and organizations know if they are actually having their funding frozen? And then secondly, if you're willing, can you just clarify, is the end goal of this to essentially challenge Congress or to prove that the president can withhold federal funding? In other words, is this an attempt to pick a fight to prove that?
What stupid questions being asked here? Is this just to prove that Donald Trump has power? No. What a dumbass. Did you not just hear $50 million to fund condoms in Gaza? But somehow this lady up there, whoever's speaking there, this reporter, is concerned that Donald's just flexing his ego. Why not ask who? I got a question. Who signed the bill to send $50 million to Gaza for condoms? Who signed that bill? Who is that person? And tell me why they're not working here anymore. Tell me how soon they're being fired. I mean, but she wants to know, is this a flex? This is why I tell you guys, look, mainstream media does not have your best interest in mind. They just don't. They're up there asking stupid questions. They don't belong in the room.
In other words, is this an attempt to pick a fight to prove that he can do this?
No,
yeah, that's what it is.
Absolutely not. As it says right here in the memo, which I have, and I'd encourage all of you to read it. It says the American people elected President Trump to be the president of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal dollar. This memo requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The American people gave President Trump an overwhelming mandate on November 5th, and he's just trying to ensure that the tax money going out the door in this very bankrupt city actually aligns with the will and the priorities of the American people.
So will there be a line?
Yes. Welcome. You look great. You're doing a great job. You talked about transparency, and some of us in this room know how just transparent President Trump has been the last 5 or 6 years. I think you'll do the same. My question is, do you think this latest incident with the president of Colombia is indicative of the global powerful respect they have for President Trump moving forward, not only to engage in economic diplomacy with these countries, but also world peace?
Absolutely. I'll echo the answer that the president gave on Air Force One last night when he was asked a very similar question by one of your colleagues in the media. This signifies peace through strength is back. And this president will not tolerate illegal immigration into America's interior. And he expects every nation on this planet, again, to cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens who illegally entered into our country and broke America's laws. Won't be tolerated. And as you saw, the Colombian government quickly folded and agreed to all of President Trump's demands. Flights are underway once again.
Carolyn. 2 questions on deportations, if I may. President Trump had said on the campaign trail that he would deport pro-Hamas students who are here on visas. And on his first day in office, he signed an executive order that said, quote, the U.S. must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the U.S. do not bear hostile attitudes towards the citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles. So should we take this executive order as Trump saying he would be open to deporting those students who are here on visas but, hold pro-Hamas sympathies?
The president is open to deporting individuals who have broken our nation's immigration laws. So if they are here illegally, then certainly he is open to deporting them. And that's what this administration is hard at work at doing. We receive data from DHS and from ICE every single day. From what we hear on the ground, ICE agents are feeling incredibly empowered right now because they actually have a leader in this building who is supporting them in doing their jobs that they were hired to do, which is to detain, arrest, and deport illegal criminals who have invaded our nation's borders over the past 4 years. That's what the president is committed to seeing. Peter.
Very quickly, just following up on the question on immigration first. President Trump, during the course of the campaign in 2024, said the following about illegal immigration. He said, they're going back home where they belong, and we start with the criminals. There are many, many criminals. NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused?
Hold up. What? You just don't care about that particular federal crime that they committed on day one of walking into this country? That doesn't get washed away, buddy. They are criminals. Like, do we get to just pick and choose which crimes we don't acknowledge in this whole roundup game? I don't think so. And I want to touch back on the thing about the students that she just mentioned. If you're here in this country on a student visa, that is a huge, huge privilege that you are being given. It's an opportunity that you're being given. It is not a right. It's not a promise. It's not just anybody who wants to come here has every right in the world to do that and come here and go to school here. No, there's processes that have to take place to accomplish that. And to get that student visa, you're expected to come in with the objective to get an education, a world-class education that you can make your own country great with. It isn't so you can come here and just live here. And it's certainly, to this woman's point, the lady that was asking the question there, it certainly isn't to come into the United States and start protesting our way of life and start implementing your own cultural shift in the way that Americans live and to force your beliefs and your standards upon the American people. It's not for those things. Your student visa is a very, very, should be highly appreciated opportunity from you to come here and get an education. So if you are engaging in the kinds of things we've seen over the last couple of years with protests on the school campuses, disruption on all these college campuses, attacking of other students because of their religion and their beliefs, vandalizing the campuses, burning American flags, all of those things that they've done, you have acted in a way that is not, you have acted outside of the rights that little student visa affords you. And because you've done that, you've in my mind, and it should be in the mind of everyone, you have nullified your student visa because you have used your privilege to push a whole different agenda. Not education. No, you're disrupting education. You're disrupting education for people that want to learn, that want to get that diploma, that really do realize that to be a part of the college system is a privilege for them. So yeah, I think they should absolutely have their student visas revoked in those cases, and they should be sent home. You came here, we gave you an opportunity, you blew it. See ya. You're gone. I don't know why that's hard for people to understand or why that's harsh. Oh, that's whatever. Probably racist, I guess. Whatever.
Exclusive, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal.
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking, though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are by definition a criminal. And so therefore you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
Understood. Then let me ask you a second.
No, this question's ridiculous, and this guy's just going to keep beating this horse to death. So let me just clear up what he doesn't seem to understand because he's apparently not paying attention. Tom Homan has said himself, we are going after the ones who are violent. We are going after the ones who are drug dealers. We're going after murderers, rapists, sex offenders. We're going after them wholeheartedly, 100%. They are who we're going after. But anybody we encounter along the way and with them are going to. It's that simple. It's that simple. Why does this guy seem to trying to work this angle that there's some sort of injustice taking place here? There's not. There's no injustice. This is what justice is. A holding accountable of criminal, a holding of people accountable to their criminal actions. It doesn't matter the level. If you're a criminal, you're held accountable for it. And in this case, they're criminals that aren't even supposed to be here. So they're being sent away. It's that simple. There's no translation needed. There's no decoder ring that you got to have to understand this. It's just, I don't like this, so I'm going to keep asking questions in the same question in different ways until I get an answer I can use against you. This is your mainstream media. This is why these people are absolutely ridiculous.
Separate question about the confusion that still exists across the country right now as it relates to the freeze or the pause as it's described. President Trump, of course, ran one of the key policy items was that he was going to lower prices, lower the cost of everything from groceries, as he often said. But in many of the cases, it would seem that some of these moves could raise prices for real Americans on everything from low-income heating, that program, child care programs. Will nothing that the president's doing here in terms of the freeze in these programs raise prices on ordinary Americans?
Of course prices are going to be raised. Guys, prices are going to go up. They have to. In order to accomplish the goal that we're after, prices will go up a little. The problem is the way that things exist now, it's unavoidable. Prices are just going to either keep going up in the direction that they're going, or we're going to fix things so that we can eventually bring the prices back down. I get these people think they're going to trap people on the tariff thing. Look, if you don't understand how tariffs work, okay, look, you're uninformed, fine. But read about it, because it is important to understand how they work. What these people seem to these tariff haters, Trump haters, seem to not understand is that those of us that are behind this plan and backing this plan, we're totally good with it. Raise the prices for a little bit. Let's make sure that we bring industry back to America and that America becomes a producer again, because that is what will ultimately lead in the long run to the country being not only the greatest country in the world, but having a sustainable economy that we can actually survive in and afford things in and pay for things that we can bring the debt down with. All these things are super important. But if we just keep letting everything be bought from overseas, then we just continue down this trend of accumulating massive amounts of debt. Yes, prices will go up as we work through this process, but they'll come back down once the goal is completed. And that is what we're working towards. Things have to get worse before they get better in some cases. That's just reality.
Americans.
What particular actions are you referring to that would...
I'm referring to LHEAP right now. That's the low-income heating program, for example. We can talk about... There's no clarity, so I could refer to a lot of them. We don't know what they are specifically. Can you tell us that LHEAP is not one of those affected?
So you're asking a hypothetical based on programs that you can't even identify. What I can tell you...
Just to be clear, since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together, just for Americans at home. Medicaid, is that affected?
I gave you a list of examples: Social Security, Medicare, welfare benefits, food stamps that will not be impacted by this federal pause. I can get you the full list after this briefing from the Office of Management and Budget. But I do want to address the cost cutting because that's certainly very important, and cutting the cost of living in this country. President Trump has taken historic action over the past week to do that. He actually signed a memorandum to deliver emergency price relief for American families, which took a number of actions. I can walk you through those. He also repealed many onerous Biden administration regulations. We know over the past 4 years, American households has been essentially taxed $55,000 in regulations from the previous administration. President Trump, with the swipe of his pen, rescinded those, which will ultimately put more money back in the pockets of the American people. So deregulation is a big deal. And then when it comes to energy, the president signed an executive order to declare a national energy emergency here at home, which is going to make America energy dominant. We know that energy is one of the #1 drivers of inflation. And so that's why the president wants to increase our energy supply to bring down costs for Americans. The Trump energy boom is incoming, and Americans can expect that.
Please share that. Thank you.
Caroline, I think some of the confusion may be here with this pause on federal funding. You've made it clear you're not stopping funds that go directly to individuals, but there certainly are lots of organizations that receive funding and then may pass along a benefit. Meals on Wheels, for one. They provide meals for over 2.2 million seniors. What is the president's message to Americans out there, many of whom supported him and voted for him, who are concerned that this is going to impact them directly, even if, as you said, the funding isn't coming directly to their wallet?
I have now been asked and answered this question 4 times. To individuals at home who receive direct assistance from the federal government, you will not be impacted by this federal freeze. In fact, OMB just sent out a memo to Capitol Hill with Q&A to clarify some of the questions and the answers that all of you are asking me right now. Again, direct assistance will not be impacted. I've been asked and answered about this OMB memo. There's many other topics of the day. Jackie Heimer.
Indirect assistance, Caroline, if it's going to another organization and then trickling down.
Direct assistance that is in the hands of the American people will not be impacted. Again, as I said to Peter, we will continue to provide that list as it comes to fruition. But OMB right now is focused on analyzing the federal government's spending, which is exactly what the American people elected President Trump to do.
And one question on immigration, Caroline, on immigration. Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws, and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
You made a point of going the worst first. They all have a criminal record.
And welcome to the briefing.
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are criminal. Yes.
She is a lioness, you guys. Goodness gracious. Fearless. She's just not, she's not having it, man. She's not having it. I'm not here to placate your feelings. Bottom line. This is the way it is. It's cut and dry. You don't want to accept it. I get it. Adjust.
Yes, thank you. On stripping security details for figures like John Bolton, Pompeo, Brian Hook, Senator Tom Cotton said that he's seen the intelligence and the threat from Iran is real for anyone who played a role in the Soleimani strike. He voiced concern it wouldn't just impact those individuals, but potentially their family, innocent bystanders, friends, anyone who's near them when they're out in public. Is the president open to reconsidering his decision?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday, and he was firm in his decision despite some of the comments that you had referenced, and he's made it very clear that he does not believe American taxpayers should fund security details for individuals who have served in the government for the rest of their lives, and there's nothing stopping these individuals that you mentioned from obtaining private security. That's where the president stands on it. I have no updates on that.
Is there any concern that this decision might jeopardize the administration's ability to hire the best advisors for these kinds of positions in the future?
No, in fact, I've talked to the Presidential Personnel Office, who has told me directly that there is such an influx of resumes for this administration that it's incredibly overwhelming. There is no lack of talent for the Trump administration.
Reagan, would he take any responsibility if anything happened to these people? Would he feel at all that his decision was a factor in that?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. I defer you to his comments.
Caroline.
Reagan, since you're in the back row, I hear you. The back row hasn't gotten much attention in the last 4 years, so I'm happy to answer your question.
And I can project. Does the president intend to permanently cut off funding to NGOs that are bringing illegal foreign nationals to the country, such as Catholic charities?
I am actually quite certain that the president signed an executive order that did just that, and I can point you to that.
One more, Caroline. President Trump issued an executive order on increased vetting for refugees in visa applications. Right. Part of that order was considering an outright ban for countries that have deficient screening processes. Has the president considered yet which countries might fall into this category? Are countries like Afghanistan or Syria under consideration for a full ban?
Yeah, so the president signed an executive order to streamline the vetting for visa applicants and for illegal immigrants in this country who are coming, of course, from other nations. It also directed the Secretary of State to review the process and make sure that other countries around the world are being completely transparent with our nation and the individuals that they are sending here. And so the Secretary of State has been directed to report back to the president. I haven't seen that report yet. We've only been here for a few days.
One on the freeze in federal funding. Who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power to do it, and therefore he's doing it.
Okay, so they disagree with lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this funding.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
And on what happened on Friday night, the administration fired several inspectors general without giving Congress the 30-day legally required notification that they were being fired. I think only 2 were left at DHS and the DOJ. And then yesterday we saw several prosecutors, I believe 12, fired from the Justice Department who worked on the investigations into the president. As you know, they are career prosecutors, therefore they are afforded civil service protections. How is the administration deciding which laws to follow and which ones to ignore?
So it is the belief of this White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House is resting on.
So you're confident that if they bring lawsuits against you, the prosecutors who were fired, that they will succeed?
We will win in court.
And yes. Did he personally direct this, given they worked on the classified documents investigation and the election interference investigation?
This was a memo that went out by the Presidential Personnel Office, and the president is the leader of this White House. So yes. Yes, Caroline is here.
Caroline? Thank you.
So they're just going to keep beating her up, or so they think, man. But they're having trouble just getting the punch in, no? She is shooting down everything that they throw at her, man. This is incredible. It's so good to have a competent press secretary in the White House again. One that's not just going to stand there and breathe lies to the American people, man. They're trying, though, man. They're trying hard to catch her in a moment, but it's just not working. Not working. Not going to work this time, guys. It's just not. We got rid of KJP for a reason. And for all you guys that are out there, you're worried about KJP. Oh, what about her? Well, don't worry. She's got a job, too. She's doing just fine where she's at right now. In fact, you can see her. You just got to go down there, where she'll be happy to ask you, would you like lies with that? I mean, fries, right? Fries. Guys, that's all the time I got for you today. Oh, man, we got a meme review coming up where we're going to be looking at some funny memes just like that one right there very soon. Go check out the rest of that press secretary press briefing at the White House. It was incredible. She's just knocked it out of the park. A lot of good answers there, too. So if you got questions, you're wondering about things you're seeing on social media, are they really cutting funding to this or that? Go listen, man. She tells you all the answers. She gives it to you all straight up. So until next time, guys, we will see you right here on the Southern Drawl Podcast with Southern Traditions. Be free. Be blessed. Peace.